Got a long ways to go. But anyway, okay. We got a special episode tonight because I got two gentlemen here that I've been wanting on my channel. And it's not that they've been saying no. I just never asked because, and I've always told them, I feel like I'm small time compared to these two gentlemen. But just want to give it up for Joanne from Geek Vibes Nation.
Thank you.
I've become a regular on that show every Wednesdays when he does his MCR reviews. And of course, Pete from Pete's Basement.
What's up, everybody? Happy to be here. Thanks, Joe.
No, anytime. I'm really happy to have you guys on. Not only because Pete, we grew up in the same neighborhood.
Right.
We know pretty much all the same people. But just to have the both of you on a show like this, whether we're breaking down Loki or anything else in the future, if we can do that, you guys are pretty much experts when it comes to certain things too. Like I know my Marvel stuff when it comes to the movies, and I've told you this, guys. I'm not really from the comic side of it. I'm really not well versed. I was telling Pete, I was telling Joanne about Frank. I've been actually trying to get Frank on this show too, because of how well he knows comics. Like he's pretty good with, knowing issue numbers and stuff like that. But he's a little camera shy.
I was about to say we might have to get Frank drunk, and then he'll be a lot more pliable.
I was like, come on, I was trying to get him on tonight. I was like, come on, Pete's going to be on. I'll introduce you to this other guy. And then I thought my co-host was going to be on, but she's not feeling well. She's under the weather, so she can't make it. But let's look, guys. Let's break it down. I've been over this already with you on your channel, Joanne. Pete, I know I was not heckling you, but I know I was hitting you.
I was just being a tormented bastard.
Yeah, I was hitting you with some questions yesterday on your show. So let's get into it, guys. I'll start with you, Joanne. What did you think of this season finale and Loki as on a whole as a series?
Well, as a series, it was a series I never wanted.
Right.
It's a character I've had my fill with. But they made it interesting, and that was really all I could ask for. The finale was great, and part of me only believes it was great because Jonathan Majors was amazing.
Yeah.
From the jump scare of Miss Minutes, to those elevator doors opening, it was just like, this was worth it, man. Like this was everything for me. This is great. Apparently this has huge implications. Obviously we see the multiverse erupting, and people on Twitter are already getting as annoying as I thought they would with that. I just saw someone compare the multiverse breaking and how it looks visually. Wait, Pete, was that the video you sent me? I think it might have been what someone sent me. They were comparing how the lights of the multiverse in Loki breaking is the same light work from Into the Spider-Verse, where Gwen was like calling to
I did see that. I saw somebody on YouTube break that down and say that. I didn't get that, but I wouldn't get something like that.
I'm going to be honest with you. It's why I don't like it. It's why I don't like a multiverse. I don't like time travel. Anything that will get people grabbing at things that I'm just like, put that down. We don't need that right now.
Like you said, even though we're getting a multiverse, I don't think they're going to get carried away. And it doesn't necessarily have to be not contained. It doesn't have to be everywhere and, be like a loose cannon. It's a multiverse, but they can contain it if they wanted to.
They could, but when you hear things like Disney called Feige in to ask him to explain it, and he was just like, whoa, shit can get crazy. So when he says stuff like that, that lets me immediately think someone at Disney was just like, well, what if we did this? And he's like, yeah, no, I'm going to do that. And they're like, what if we did? I'm going to do all that. Relax. So it does get me a little worried for the future, but it was great, man. And we said this before, but it's a shame the Emmys were kind of all mailed in already, because no one in the MCU, in my opinion, deserved it more than Jonathan Majors. Just 15 minutes of this episode was just riveting, mainly because he's going to be an entirely different person come a few movies down the line. Per each
variant. If we do get a couple of different variants from him. And I did like the comment. I can't remember who said it. I think it was in your show, Pete, about how, or it might have been yours, Joanne, about how we got to be careful because they don't want him to sound too robotic, kind of like Vision.
Yeah.
So that might have been on the MCR. I think somebody said that on the MCR, which makes sense. You don't want that, but it would be cool if we get different variations, which I'm assuming he's going to do. He's going to do different takes if we do see different variations, different versions of Kang, which I'm assuming we might see. We got our first comment really quick. I really like this series. I know I was saying it was going to be Kang, but I was really shocked to actually see him. We all were. Miss Minute scared the living daylight out of me, and that opening, oh my God. Yeah. I saw something on Instagram, and I don't know if it was either one of your stories because I'm all over the place on Instagram, but somebody posted something about how Disney, the Disney series are becoming slowly into like the horror genre, and they showed a picture of Dead Vision and then the picture of Miss Minutes on and how we all got scared on those two specific scenes, because that was not expecting, like when she turned around and saw just dead lifeless Vision, that was pretty scary. And then of course the Miss Minutes jump scare.
Yeah, and don't forget there's zombie Iron Man in the What If trailer.
Yeah.
Well, like also zombie Iron Man in Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's that scene with Mysterio. Yeah.
Right.
That was a scary scene. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Elizabeth Olsen said she's really hyping up Doctor Strange 2 to be like this big horror kind of movie.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because Scott Derrickson stepped down because of the difference of what the horror was going to be. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious what Scott Derrickson's horror was going to be compared to what Sam Raimi's horror is going to be.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious. I'm definitely really curious on how that pans out.
If you had to personally choose who was directing, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Derrickson, or you like the fact that Raimi's doing it?
I'll let you go first.
I don't know Scott Derrickson's work, unless somebody wants to throw some titles at me that maybe I've seen.
Yeah, I can't. I
think he did Sinister.
I remember
Sinister was dope.
Sinister was really good. If it was Sinister, I was trying to remember what they said, some of the projects he was that he did. And when he was first announced as the director, and I was like, oh, okay, this could be cool if they are going towards that horror genre feel.
I mean, we all know Sam Raimi's resume when it comes to horror.
So he actually did Sinister, Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Okay.
That's cool.
The Day the Earth Stood Still.
With Keanu?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, yeah. You wouldn't have done the original. Unless he's like 90.
I mean, I definitely like Sinister. I wouldn't quite put it up there with like the Conjuring universe. Right. But, I'm a sucker for jump scares, and I love any kind of horror flick. I do love the Evil Dead series. The only Spider-Man movie that, Raimi did that I don't like was Spider-Man 3. And I will probably attribute that to a lot of Sony's tampering and not just, Raimi screwing it up.
No, that was a timeline that he just couldn't. Yeah.
It was just horrendous. So I'm going to trust Sam Raimi on this. And I mean, we already know that Shumagorath is, whether he's the main villain, I hope not, but he's going to be in it. And that's like total Lovecraftian. So if they go like some kind of Elder Gods route with that could be legit scary.
So he's saying he's never seen it. I'm pretty sure the three of us have. But Elizabeth Olsen said that Doctor Strange 2 is like the scariest parts of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's
scared shit of the Temple of Doom when I was
that was
a kid.
Scary stuff. I mean, I saw it as a young kid. So I remember, I know it came out when I was 6, but I don't think I seen it at 6, but I had to have been at least 7 or 8 when I saw it. There was some scary when he rips the guy's heart out of his chest
and he's going down in a cave. And he gets fire and lava.
No, Pete, is he saying Galamad? Is he going Galamad? Galamad. I know.
Kalima.
Yeah, Kalima. I know it's not saying Galamad.
That's a meme that's waiting to happen. Galamad, and he takes out the fucking Galamad. Why has nobody done that yet?
I mean, it's hard when actors or directors compare it to something, because I was part of the press roundtable for Loki, and the one thing Michael Waldron, who wrote Loki, he compared this season a lot to 7, and I still to this day have no idea what the comparison was. Maybe I guess the what's in the box is what happened. What happened to the multiverse? I guess maybe that's the what's in the box, but I didn't really get any feels of like this great detective story that is kind of spinning you everywhere. It was just like That was really weird. So when he said it, because again, when he said it, it was before I'd even seen an episode. So I'm like, okay, they're going that route, and I still have no idea what he was.
Now, if you would have told me that this had correlation or like a 7 feel, and then I seen every episode, I still know this. I've seen 7 so many times. I can't even the what's in the box scene. I can't correlate with the multi. I don't know. I agree with you. I can't.
I don't know why he said that. So Elizabeth saying that kind of like, okay, if true, cool. But part of me is kind of just like,
oh, did you hear that, guys? I didn't know that. The director of Loki.
Yeah. She said she was always only supposed to be part of one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Which to me isn't, I'm not that heartbroken. I'd be more heartbroken if Michael Waldron, who wrote the show, wasn't coming back to write the show.
Okay.
Because he seems as though he's willing to get as crazy can get. I believe Throg was his idea, so I'm like,
right,
Michael Waldron.
I'm also really excited to see that. I want to see more of that. Want to use her powers in more evil methods. Get some of that in Doctor Strange. Let me ask you, the leaks that have been coming out with the toys or whatever, with Peter Parker and Spider-Man possibly using or having some type of Doctor Strange magic infused in his new suit. Is that for Strange 2 or is that for No Way Home?
No Way Home.
That is No Way Home?
Too. As far as I know, he's not in Strange 2. I want to ask you that because you're a huge Spider-Man fan.
I am.
Does it bother you, all the tech and
I don't understand it. I mean, first they did it with Iron Man, which I love Robbie Downey Jr. I love Iron Man. So him popping up, all right, I was like, okay, maybe they just needed, they weren't sure if Holland was going to be able to carry a movie by himself. I can see why they did it in the first one and then, whatever. But I'm agreeing with you. Peter Parker built his own shit. Like that was what he did. That was his stuff. Mm-hmm. Getting the Iron Man suit, the Iron Spider suit from Stark or whatever. Okay, I'm all right with that. That one scene in Infinity War was actually really cool. I just hate that it was fucking spoiled in the trailer. I would have liked to have seen that scene when he's fallen from the ship and that suit catches him. I would have liked to have seen that on the big screen for the first time. But I'm with you on that, especially with the whole Doctor Strange now being in it, and what's he going to be, another mentor? I don't know.
Well, yeah, that was when they first reported he was in it. It said he was in it. He's going to be essentially his new Stark to a degree, someone that can kind of guide him. Yeah. But the thing that bothers me is Spider-Man's always been known as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man because he's your everyday man. Literally anyone could be Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. It's hard to feel that when he's walking around in $2 billion tech, because I can't just go put on $2 billion tech. No. But I could dance on pajamas and try to be a hero. So it's kind of stripping the street nature of what, it was the whole thing of him telling Stark, like, I just want to be on the ground. Like, I want to be the guy here. And then it's like, well, you can't be that if you're wearing $2 billion tech. I need you to kind of get back to your roots, which is just, your average, kid just trying to be a hero in New York City.
Yeah, and then look in the first movie when Stark takes the suit away from him and he goes, I'm nothing without that suit. Spider-Man wouldn't say, you're not really nothing without that suit. Your powers don't even come from that suit. Your powers are, you're an enhanced person because of a spider bite.
To be fair, in the original comics, his webbing came out of his body.
Yeah.
So I get the MCU.
No, it did not.
Oh, wait, no. In the original comics, he built his own.
In the original movie, it came out of.
Yeah, he's right. It's reversed.
Then they made that happen in, I believe it was the I can't remember the name of the series that they switched it to organic webbing and it just didn't work. But no, he always invented his own web shooters. It was never organic.
If that's the case, then I do understand him saying I'm nothing without the suit. Because his whole webbing comes from the suit. And he relies on that a lot. So, I mean, that I can kind of get. That's really strange.
Yeah, because Tobey Maguire in the first Spider-Man with Tobey, he shoots it out of his. It comes out of his wrist.
Yeah,
which would make sense. Would make sense.
But it wasn't the '60s. I don't think they could have got away with that in the '60s.
A lot of people. I'm not really crazy about the black and gold suit that was leaked, especially the one now. Yeah, there's a black and gold suit. There's a Funko Pop already shown or whatever, but there's another suit that's not just black and gold. There's an integrated suit, it's called, and then there's another suit where he has like a blue type of because a Hot Toy was revealed. They just revealed the Hot Toy one of it. It's on the 12th, I think or the 14th. There's a hot toy for it you can pre-order, and it comes out like next year. I think anywhere between March or whatever. But anyway, it's got like a blue. It's just a weird, and he's got like a gauntlet on one of his arms. I think it's the right arm or left, and it shoots a web, but it looks like a Doctor Strange type of magical web. So it's just so weird. I don't know where they're going with this.
I don't really like it either, but I think we have to kind of look at this 50-50. The first 50 is this could just be a whole bunch of alternate suits to sell toys.
Yeah.
But the other 50 could be, we did see in the What If trailer, Peter wearing the
cloak.
The cloak. So it is possible, maybe going through this multiverse, he assumes the cloak, and has to kind of be Strange. I don't like it. I don't think I want to ever see it, but it is possible that's where they're going, which is why I keep saying we kind of have to wrap our heads around the idea that maybe there isn't any Toby in Andrew Garfield in this. Maybe this really just is.
It could, yeah.
Tom Holland Spider-Man weaving in and out of different multiverses where he has to kind of maneuver his way in and out.
Look, if it's a good movie, it's a good movie. I'm going to like it. Will I be disappointed if I don't see, Toby or Garfield? Of course, because everybody's hyping it up, and that's all everybody's been talking about, whether it's on YouTube or, everywhere on social media. Right. But, give me a good movie. I'll be fine. And I'm sure most fans will be.
I don't like this gold suit either. The black and gold.
Yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't like the color scheme of the suit from the last movie.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Okay, that's the best way to describe it. It does look like an arc reactor spiderweb on his chest.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, to me, just keep it the same way that Spider-Man is on your shirt.
Yeah.
Simple. It's not a costume that needs to be changed.
Yeah. I agree. All right.
But that said, maybe like an electric, like an energy. I'm looking at the Funko now.
Yeah, so that's what you think it's energy? Yeah.
Maybe it's like an electric webbing kind of ball.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a second. That's the suit he needs to fight Electro.
Oh, could be. Could be.
That's probably what that is. That might not even be strange tech. That just might be something to do with electricity. Maybe the black and gold is like coppering.
Insulated or something?
Like coppering. You know how you would have to. Yeah.
I would also say he's a walking rod. I mean, Spidey being in the Stark tech that he's in.
Yeah.
Wolverine facing Magneto. It's just
right.
You're primed for me to just kill you right now.
So that means what that integrated suit probably means. It's not the Stark. Well, it's not Stark tech anymore. It can't be because he's dead.
It's pure magic.
It's not even or magic or just like a different type of material. Like I said, that has stuff interwoven in the material that is. I can't think of the word. Is it insulated? Is that the right word, or it's something to?
I don't know. I'm definitely no electrician.
Whatever.
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm talking about. Something that'll be like anti-electric shot, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But Peter could definitely build that himself. He's definitely smart enough to do it.
Yeah. I would be really disappointed. Yeah. That's another person that everybody wants in besides Toby and Andrew is Matt Murdock or Charlie Cox. Yeah, that makes sense. But just for a suit, it's kind of, I agree. I do. I agree. I'm not really crazy about the looks, but if that's the practicality, if that's the way it's being used, then I'm okay with that. All right, Pete, let's get back to Loki. What did you think about the finale?
I absolutely loved it. I was up at 3:00 in the morning waiting for this because I'm like, I know I'm going to be on the internet the next day, and I don't want to have to be dodging spoilers like, pumpkin bombs left and right.
I hate that. Yeah.
So, like I woke up probably, I don't know, maybe 10 o'clock, 11, whatever, after being up until 4:30, 5 o'clock. And there's already people with like pictures and stuff on it. I'm like, thank God I watched this early because I would have been pitching a fit. With that said, I absolutely loved it. This turned out to be my favorite series because of that finale.
Yeah. This
really delivered for me in a way that the other two shows, unfortunately, did not. Like, I liked them, don't get me wrong. But when it came to the finales, I found that the villains were kind of lackluster. Like I liked Catherine Hahn as Agatha Harkness. She was fantastic, but I needed a bigger bad than that, and I didn't get it. And we all know how Joanna and I felt about that one. As far as Captain America, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we just got what's her name? I can't even think of her name.
Carter. Sharon Carter.
Not even Sharon Carter. Who was the
Oh, yes.
the little
Val?
super soldier girl?
Yeah,
Val?
the Flag Smashers.
Valentina?
No,
The
Carly
Flags
Morgan.
Carly.
Oh.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was it.
Carly Morgan. Yeah.
And Walker, I'm just like, yeah. And I wasn't expecting a major villain in there. Maybe I was, because I wanted the Power Broker to be somebody major, and
Right.
certainly didn't get that. I wanted the Power Broker to turn out to be like General Ross,
Or the
That
Mandarin.
would've been-
The Mandarin would have been nice.
that would have been cool too, especially with Shang-Chi this year.
Mhm.
But with that all said and that out of the way, when those doors open and Jonathan Majors is sitting there, I was like, oh, holy shit, it's Kang. And I knew it wasn't Kang. I knew it was like Immortus or whoever, that I think it was Immortus. I'm not totally familiar with all of the different Kang variants, but from watching other YouTube channels, and I'm like, all right, give me like the 411 on this guy. When he's just sitting there and I'm like they really did it. They're doing this. And it was all talking. There was no action really, except for that minuscule knife fight scene with Sylvie and Loki.
Yeah.
But he's just like so quirky and weird. He's just happy to see people, because you spend eons alone talking to basically just an AI in the missed minutes. You're just happy to see people. He's like, hey, yay. And he's just sitting there eating his apple and he's thrilled and he's talking to them. And it just opens a world of possibilities with the multiverse cracking and everything. But even before that, I am a sucker for melodrama. I love a good line. And when he's, Loki's interrogating, like, well, what are you so afraid of? Me. Like, I'm doing this to protect all of you from my crazy ass. Not me personally, but me. All of me. And when he's like, you think I'm evil? Wait till you meet my variants. And that line just hit with me and it resonated. And I'm like, yes, because I know, and I'm hoping that we get to see Jonathan Majors as like a character actor doing these different kinds of Kangs, these different kinds of people. And I'm just really excited to see where this goes. And with the multiverse, not only does everything we've ever seen now become canon, because it could have happened then and now, and it's all happening now. When will then be now? Soon. It's all
true.
happening, and it's all canon now. Everything is Blade, X-Men. This is how we get X-Men. This is definitely how we get X-Men.
Yeah. Well, WandaVision might have been how we got X-Men too. The explanation.
I wouldn't say that. I would say Eternals is how we're getting X-Men.
Okay.
Because I believe Eternals is how X-Men were created.
Mm-hmm. That looks like they're making mutants, yes.
Right. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Taking X-Men and Fantastic Four from a different universe and plucking them in the MCU is possibly some of the laziest goddamn writing ever. I'd like you to be more creative. I would like you to say that Genosha exists and they made a deal with S.H.I.E.L.D. back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an incident. Like, remember the incident in the actual Civil War comics?
Yeah.
Where the mutant exploded the school bus. And then that kind of started the whole thing. I would like if that actually happened. That was the first Civil War. The idea of the mutants versus humans. And they struck a deal. Fury led that deal, agreed with Xavier and Magneto. You go to your own island. You stay there. We don't bother you. You don't bother us. Do what you want. I'd rather that.
I like that, but it's probably not going to happen.
It's probably not. My only issue is if you pluck them from a different universe, I'm going to have to hear every single day on why it should have just been Fassbender and those guys again. And it's like, I don't want what I've already seen.
I think they can do it. I think they can do it without doing that. If you're going to pluck them from a different universe, I think they can still recast. I don't think it has to be Fassbender and whatever else they used in Fox. And I think the other reason why they probably want to lean more towards that direction is because if it's really hard to explain the absence of them without doing it that way. It could be lazy writing. I get it. But when you're being creative too, if you pull them from a different whether dimension or timeline or whatever, right? Or universe. Mm-hmm. It's not messing around with their their origin story. I think people like the fact, like if they start the X-Men now, what happens to Magneto's origin story? The power of him growing up in the Holocaust and stuff like that.
I don't need it and I know this is going to sound really biased.
That's what made the character though.
No. It 100% did. But a way you can get around that is, and I know this is going to start controversy, but
no, go ahead, shoot it.
You can race change Magneto and Xavier and say that their moment, kind of, and I'm not comparing it, but their Holocaust moment could have just been living throughout the 60s.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
Still only 20 years of difference, though.
No, I know, but at least that way, it's a little bit more manageable. And you could go down the line of the mutant gene for some slows aging or whatever the case may be. I don't know, because once they step through a portal and you don't close that off, people are going to be looking for a lot more people to come through those portals.
Let me propose a possibility for you here. What if they kind of go the almost CW Crisis route, where we don't even bother with mutants at this point? Let the multiverse be where it is. And, you get Spider-Man, you get Doctor Strange. Maybe they wrap that up in Ant-Man and they fuse that timeline back together again. And now all of a sudden there's mutants. How do you feel?
You could do that.
With all the origins and everything intact, and we don't need a goddamn origin all over again.
Look, I'm not saying I'm personally attached to the origin stories. If you're going to do a good story, and like you said, without it being a lazy writing or whatever, and if you can be creative and you can do it the right way, I'm not attached to the origin story of any of the guys. It's fine.
I'll say this. Once I know what Eternals is doing, I think I can have a better opinion. Because if Eternals is how mutants are born, then I think I can find a way in
that's not the question. This is why I want you guys to, either one of you, to answer this question, because I know you guys touched up on this a couple of times. When Sylvie killed Kang and we saw all the timelines branch, do you think that is the same when Wanda heard Billy and Tommy crying?
100%.
Yeah.
Not literally like right after, but I think, because remember, that lies within its own time.
Yeah.
But I think it was the fallout of the multiverse breaking, and because she's a Nexus level character, she can hear and see through different multiverses and obviously travel through them. So I think once it broke, she could hear it, because in whatever multiverse that is out there, her kids are still alive.
Yeah, and I agree. I loved because I think you brought that up on your show, and I actually do. It's funny too, because at that moment when I was on your show on Wednesday night, my brother John, my younger brother, who he watched, he watches this stuff. He loves the Marvel stuff, but he's not really into like comics or whatever and whatever. But he asked the same question. He basically said, "So when what happened at the end of Loki happened, is that right around the time where Wanda hears her children?" And I said, "Yeah." Probably. That was actually, So I think so. Pete, what do you think of this one? I honestly hope that Sharon isn't the power broker. I think she's a Skrull, because she mentioned living in Madripoor during the blip, but she was in the pictures of everyone who blipped. So is that possible that I don't know. I don't know if that's actually, I can't remember whether she blipped or not, but if that's true, if it said that if this, Sharon Carter that we saw in the Falcon and Winter Soldier said she was living in Madripoor during the blip, but she actually was blipped. What do you think of that? Do you think she was a Skrull? I don't remember that, so I don't know if that's the case.
I don't remember if she blipped either. Damn. How do I feel about her being a Skrull, though? Let's just address that one. I don't know,
I didn't want her to be the power broker, so her being a Skrull, I mean, I'm not saying that everybody has to be a Skrull. I mean, that's just the easy way to do it, but I didn't want her to. Yeah, it is. It's pretty effective, but that's a pretty good theory if everything is lined up the way he says it is. Juwan, do you know if that's true? If she wasn't blipped?
No, what he's saying is 100% true. The only issue with that is if she was a Skrull, there would have been no need for her to have the facial technology.
You're right. You know what? Right. Somebody brought that up before. She wouldn't have needed. Yeah,
and it's a missed opportunity if you don't show her walking out of the Pentagon. She has the phone conversation. That would have been awesome. She goes to a corner and you see the face kind of
switch up.
Because here's the problem on Sharon Carter now turning out to be a Skrull. No one cares if she's not the real power broker, because you've established it as her. The power broker is not a big enough character that I need to see extend past Sharon Carter, right? And then the second one is, if Sharon Carter is or is not a Skrull, since you've already kind of indulged that she isn't, because we didn't see a reveal yet, it's a character I could care less about. So if it turns out she was a Skrull, I would kind of just go, again, something I saw coming at some point or another, you know, like, you're just really not original with Sharon Carter at all.
That would have been a great scene, though. The way you described it, her coming out and
you know, they never use Skrulls the way they should. And I'm going to draw on a comic example for this. And I'm not sure if you guys know about it, how much you've read like Spider-Man comics and whatnot a few years ago. But during the first Civil War in the comics, when it was Captain America versus Iron Man, and Peter Parker came out on national television and said, I've been Spider-Man since I'm 15 years old. And then Civil War ended and they had to clear all that shit up. Because how does Peter Parker go on about his regular life now with the, you know, the whatever, the Registration Act and all of this stuff not being in effect? And they cleared it up in one of the worst possible ways. Joe Quesada was on record that he wanted to end Peter's marriage with Mary Jane because, well, Peter's supposed to be the everyman, and the everyman does not get to marry a beautiful supermodel like Mary Jane Watson. So they did this with the deal, you know, shooting, nearly killing Aunt May, and the deal with Mephisto. And I mean, you're saying that the everyman doesn't marry a supermodel, but the everyman doesn't make fucking deals with the devil either. So there you go, to save their aunt and sacrifice their marriage. So that neither here nor there. Stupid writing, stupid decision on the editorial staff, when if you wanted to end Peter's marriage with Mary Jane after all these years, when they did whatever it was, not the Skrull invasion, but I can't remember the title, Secret Invasion. That was Secret Invasion. Man. And they opened the ship, like the Skrull mothership, when they saved everybody, and there's all these old school heroes in their old school garb and costumes and whatnot. And they're like, what's been happening? Hey, what's up? You know, where's the payphone? Because they ain't got cell phones and shit. All you had to do was put Mary Jane in there. You want to end the marriage? You were never married to Mary Jane. You were married to a Skrull the whole time. Mary Jane's barely in love with you. She barely knows you.
Yeah, I mean, it's dangerous territory. It's why I tell you guys all the time, I don't like Skrulls. I don't like time travel. I don't like multiverse. Yeah. Because it just creates too many questions. Because then you're going to have people go, well, if Skrulls have been here the whole time, how do we know that Cap wasn't a Skrull and the real Cap is held somewhere? Right. How do you know that, you know, it wasn't a Skrull Stark that snapped his fingers? How do you know? It starts to weave this web that it's like, I think what bothers me the most is I'm always surrounded by people like family or whatnot that don't read the comics. So they're asking me these questions that in my mind, I think are just stupid, right? But to them, they don't know any better. So they're asking me and I'm like, I don't like to be put in the situation where I have to answer these questions that I think are just ridiculous. So to me, they have to be really careful with Skrulls. It can't be anybody big. It can't be anybody too big, and it can't be anybody irrelevant like Sharon Carter. So you got to find someone right in that middle layer that you can make a Skrull that would have the audience, both mainstream and comic book fans, go, didn't see that coming. Okay, that's awesome. Which is why I said I always was of the method of you should have had Fury die on that table in Winter Soldier, and it's been a Skrull as Fury this entire time. And I thought I had that in Spider-Man. And then when it like showed up in space, Fury's relaxing. I was just like, you will never find a better opportunity than that. You just won't. You just won't.
True. That's true.
The guy that was commenting, he ended up having a leak. But before he left, because we were talking about mutants, he said, did you see the guy that was arm wrestling the Red Guardian in Black Widow in prison after he's coming out? He's saying he came out saying he's a mutant. Something beginning with U, and he could turn into a bear.
Ursa Major.
Yep.
He actually calls him Ursa.
Right.
But like you don't get to see his power. I didn't know he was a mutant. I just thought he was a bear.
I knew he was a mutant. I just didn't think Marvel was telling us that our first mutant was that guy.
That was our first.
We haven't really introduced mutants yet, but we'll start with this guy that literally no one knows. It's like, all right, okay, all right.
Yeah, if that was our first introduction to mutants, again, I'm not 100% sure, and I'll go back to WandaVision one more time. I'm not really 100% sure that that's not what they were trying to tell us there. where Wanda's origin story, possibly where she's a mutant. She had the power.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that she had that power. The whatever magic she did to stop the bomb. She thought the bomb was a dud, but apparently she did it. And that was before she went to Hydra, and they did the test on them. So if that was the case, she always had something in her.
Yeah, no, they didn't hide it. They just haven't given it a name yet.
Yeah.
But they are telling you that there are beings out there with latent abilities.
Yeah.
And the only reason Wanda's amplified so much is that the Infinity Stone merging with her really amplified it and brought it out. But it's always been there, just kind of dormant. So
maybe we do get mutants that have been, like you said, you know, they made the deal with Fury to keep it all hush-hush, but they have been here for this amount of time, and it only becomes public. Let's say, I mean, what's one of the biggest mutant Elseworlds, for lack of a better word, Elseworlds story running around Marvel? House of M. Mm-hmm. You could get a dope House of M story out of this multiverse. I know we already know that they're going for Secret Wars, which that's a show, I think, right? If I'm not mistaken.
No, you're thinking Secret Invasion.
I am thinking Secret Invasion.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know quite what's coming, but I'm sure they're going to go the Secret Wars.
Avengers movie.
Well, the Russo brothers said that was the one movie that they would come back and do. Right. They want to do Secret Wars.
That's because Secret Wars is essentially a toy chest of unlimited toys, and now that they have everyone back, you know, technically not Hulk, but everybody else back, you can go bananas. You can just do whatever you want. I know people love Secret Wars.
I do. I love that. That was like my whole introduction to a lot of those characters was those toys. I have a special place in my heart.
Secret Wars is great, so I understand why they want to come back to that, because it's a toy chest. You can literally just pick up any toy you want and go.
Even if they do the new one, like I didn't read all of the different miniseries, but that's myriad stories that you could have TV shows and movies for.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Even if you do like one episode, just let's just throw it against the wall and see what sticks. And you have a Secret Wars TV show, and you have the Thor Corps, and you've got God, I don't even know however many. I read the Thor one. That was obviously it. But, you got Dr. Doom running the whole place. This is, and the powers of the Beyonder. And oh, God, it's just so much stuff to do.
It's a lot. And if they want to do it, let them do it.
Let me ask you guys this, actually. Speaking of that stuff, speaking of the multiverse and whatnot, I saw a cool meme with the Eternals. Since, Juwan, you're kind of banking on this one in November. When they said we haven't interfered until now, do you think that was Thanos, or do you think that's the multiverse that they're
No, it's the multiverse. I think it's the multiverse.
I don't think it's either. I think that line, I think the big battle that they fight is way earlier in the timeline. So before S.H.I.E.L.D., before Captain Marvel, before all that. I think that's the moment. And then I think we get flash forward to now.
Okay.
Just became Captain America, and now they're kind of just like, what is happening here, but I think that was meant to kind of throw us off. I don't think the battle that they're fighting is now. I think it's back then, and then we get a flash forward of where they are now, because this stood out to me. I don't know if maybe they were maybe changing it just for the trailer,
right?
But she said now that Iron Man and Captain Rogers, not Captain America, Captain Rogers,
right?
Did he say that because she knows he's no longer Captain America?
Yeah, because of Falcon.
Right. So that could have been a more, obviously, regardless of if she meant that or not, it's modern day, that scene, because she said Stark and Cap are gone.
Right.
Yeah.
But to me, I think the war that they're going to fight is way back. And then they'll flash forward, whether it's an end credit scene or whatnot, to present day. And then I think that's when you get that full that elongated scene.
Okay.
Yeah, I took it the multiverse.
All right, November, we're coming back to this moment, gentlemen.
Because if it was Thanos, then they're a little too late.
I could be 100% wrong. I want to always stress that. But to me, it just wouldn't make sense. Because you have them come back and go, oh man, we're here to fight Thanos. Oh, you already beat him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like, no, that would just be like, what?
That's kind of what, honestly, and that's why I gave that one scene in Zack Snyder, the Snyder Cut, where Martian Manhunter shows up at the end, like, I'm all right, guys, put me in. What
I got you next time, yo. I got you.
All right. Oh, you got this. All right. I'll see you next time.
Yeah.
I just like the dude, and he was there too. He was like just disguised as as the general because he was in Man of Steel.
Oh, but
So
nobody made the friggin' meme. Instead of having Kermit the Frog, you just have Martian Manhunter. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
That's what he was doing. He was just like, I got a Kryptonian here.
That shit ain't none of my business.
Yeah, and he's watching the world in, and he's just like, I don't think they can handle this. Like, hold on, let me let Bruce know. And Bruce is like, that's why I love the line when Ben Affleck sold that scene. He's like, and you are like, I'm supposed to know you? Like, what is this? Nah, that was definitely hilarious.
I do want to ask you guys one question. No, I can't remember what it was. Oh yeah, I do remember what it was. So we obviously see at the end of Loki, we see the branches of time already starting to branch.
Mm-hmm.
And what's his face? He who remains says we're past the threshold. That's why he couldn't predict anything anymore. He didn't know.
Right.
The timelines were already branching.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if he doesn't get killed? Wouldn't the multiverse already would have happened anyway?
Well, no. Remember, here's the difference. His fear wasn't the multiverse exploding. His fear was, if you kill me, it now leaves all of these multiverses open to all of my variant Kangs to rule them as they please. So he was more saying, if the multiverse breaks, that's something that can be fixed over time as long as I'm alive.
Right.
His fear was, you kill me, there is nothing stopping them from opening those floodgates and just doing whatever they want to do.
Gotcha.
So his fear wasn't the multiverse, especially if he didn't die. His fear was, as Pete said, me. Mm-hmm. That was his true fear.
And how integral was it? Now, let's say Ravonna, let's say for some reason Mobius is able to best her and she doesn't get to go to the destination that I'm assuming he sent her to. Mm-hmm. Was that also part of his plan to come back?
I think so, yes.
If she doesn't survive, what happens there?
I'm going to say I don't know, mainly because he who remains is who sent her that information.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was sending her to safety, or what was going on. I don't know if his fear was, if Kang finds you, it's the last piece of his puzzle. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it's weird. You know what it reminds me of? It's like, remember when Sharon sent Falcon and Bucky to where that doctor was?
Yeah.
Even though that doctor could have easily outed who the power broker was.
Pretty much.
And it literally made no sense.
Yeah.
This is kind of just like, well, if he's afraid of the other variants, I'm assuming he had to have been sending her to safety.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't want to send her where the other ones could just find her if she is that important to whatever the grand scheme is. So in my mind, she was sent somewhere for her own good.
I don't think he sent her for her own good. I think he sent her for his. I think that was like
I took it at his for him to be able to what do you call it?
Re-up his position. Yeah. Like just in case this all goes south and they are stupid enough to kill me, go save me. Here's where I'm gonna be. Go get me. That's where I think she's at.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I said, what happens if she doesn't, if she doesn't make it out of there? If Mobius wasn't useless. And whatever. I mean, let's be honest. He wasn't going to get her. But she's got training. He's professional jet skier. That's all he is.
That was just the weirdest thing, though. It's like you have no fighting training, and she does. What did you?
Yeah,
you think just you're a man, you could overpower her? Like,
he's like, I saw that. He's like, I knew that was coming. Go ahead, prone me. It's coming.
He's like, that's all I had. It's like when you punch a really big guy in the face.
Yeah,
he doesn't budge, and you're just like, well, all I had.
Yeah, I gave it a shot. Now I asked you, Pete. I asked you guys yesterday on your show, and I know I immediately got backlash from it because I used Captain America: Serpent Society as an example. Now I know it didn't last; it was literally just minutes. But I just used a dummy title as an example, but knowing what we know, what happened after Loki, right? With the multiverse, everybody was assuming with No Way Home and whoever was teased to be coming in as a cast member, everybody was, oh, Toby's coming. It's got to be, we were expecting Wanda to be the one that created the multiverse in WandaVision. We've been expecting it ever since Doctor Strange 2. The multiverse of madness was announced. The only reason why I asked you guys that question of whether if Marvel would have kind of like kept it close to their chest and not revealed the title of Doctor Strange 2 until after these. Now, also granted too, a lot of things were shifted because of COVID. So at the time of the title release, these shows, I honestly don't even know the structure and what the schedule was. But I feel like once it was, I guess it doesn't really matter now because I just answered my question. COVID bumped everything around. So I don't know what the release dates were, but knowing what we know now, had we not known about the title of Doctor Strange 2, I'm wondering if we would have been a little bit more non-expecting of the multiverse coming.
Absolutely. We at this point, with knowing the title of Doc 2, we were just kind of waiting for, like, okay, who's gonna open up the multiverse? Is it gonna be Wanda? Did she just do it by becoming this Nexus being and like attaining her full power? Yeah. And then she's doing the whole astral projection thing. So we're just kind of waiting around with bated breath just for, okay, when's the multiverse coming? I think it would have been a much bigger surprise at the end to see that at the end of Loki, like, oh shit, we just got a multiverse, and then bang, they drop the Doctor Strange 2 title at whatever, if they're doing D23 later on, I think in August or something. It would have definitely added to, like I said, I love it, the melodrama of it all. Like, now you look at the title of Doctor Strange.
Yeah. But again, 100%. Going back, like I said, things were shuffled around because of COVID. So that's an afterthought. But I somebody had mentioned that online, and I thought, wow, that actually is true. If they had kept it, but it didn't matter at that point because I don't even know what the structure and the release dates were for these shows and the movies, whatever. But
the announcement was almost 2 years before COVID happened.
Yeah.
But the only thing that was really messed up was Black Widow. Obviously, was supposed to come out before Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Right.
Spider-Man would have already been out, and it wouldn't have been a multiverse story. It would have been the story of him versus Pete. Who did you want? Craven. It would have been Spider-Man. It would have been the Great Hunt.
Yeah.
They could still do. I said it myself. They could have still done Craven, and if they would have coupled him with what's his name, Moreland, and made Craven an intergalactic spider hunter. I still think that's a dope ass idea.
Didn't somebody just ask Feige about the if Sony and Marvel were going to ever come together? And he
specifically Venom. And
okay.
His response was, "Never know. You have to wait and see."
Because I was thinking,
what we all thought was,
is Craven a possibility? Even though that's Sony, and this is Spider-Man is Sony too. Is Craven a possibility as a teaser end credits
for
No Way Home?
No, because they're giving him his own movie. So you wouldn't want to confuse people, because if you put him at the end of that and then you do an origin story, you'll confuse.
I didn't know it was an origin. Okay.
Yeah. They're gonna. Okay. Well, I assume it's an origin story. It's Sony, so I believe it will be an origin.
Gotcha.
Story.
I don't think they'd hawk their, not their own movie. Like right. Sony, you insisting on doing this nonsense, you're on your own. I think Feige still feels that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of Feige is. I mean, I'll never forget when Amy, who used to run Sony, was just like, "Yeah, you'll see, stuff from Sony in the MCU," and Feige's just sitting there, just like, I don't know what the fuck she's talking about.
This bitch is on crack.
All of it. Yeah, he's just like, no to all of this. Like, don't listen to her. So he's been very adamant about, like, you never know, to kind of keep it at arm's length.
Mm-hmm. And then I also yesterday I mentioned on your stream, Pete, and I guess I don't know if they're waiting for season 2. I don't know if we're ever going to find out, or if we did find out. But I'll ask it again, for my viewers and you guys again one more time. What was Sylvie's Nexus event? And I had asked you, was it because she was the only female Loki that we knew of? She was the only female version of Loki, or was it because it was known by He Who Remains that he was going to get killed by her, and they were trying to thwart
I think that's it. I think I didn't think of that until you said it yesterday, and I think that's a really great idea. And that seems totally feasible to me.
Now, Jawan, you had said on his stream yesterday that it doesn't line up because her actions were motivated by her getting kidnapped.
Right. Yeah.
But
I fully believe that. But
the whole Minority Report, that's why I brought that up.
That time travel loop.
That kind of thing where it's like, even though it didn't happen yet, it's already, basically, and this is what Loki did as a series, and this is why I kind of liked it as a series. And, look, I get it. I know we're talking about demigods and all this other fantastical stuff, but at the end of the day, it does make you wonder whether our lives are predestined, where we don't have free will, or we do. So that's why I kind of resonated with the series in general. So it kind of lines up with the whole fact that you don't have free will, that everything was pre-written. So she would have done it anyway.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's just as confusing as Pete can really speak to this more as the Flash show. The whole concept of Reverse Flash hating Barry for existing, but as far as we know, you created Barry. So it's like, well, I don't understand. You hate the guy you created, but he's saying he only created him because he had to. But
because he was a fan, he loved the Flash and then hated it. It was
right.
So
it's the whole circle of like, well, if you had just left her in Asgard, she would have never had a beef with the TVA, and then in result would have never killed you. But as you saw, he wanted her to kill him. He had seemed like he was just done. He was done being the keeper of peace, the keeper of all the timelines. He was egging her on. Grow up, Sylvie. Grow up.
Yeah.
You got it. You got to do the things that matter. What matters right now is put your sword through my chest. And
that temp head. I mean, he dangled that in front of both of them. He didn't know which one. Maybe he didn't know which one it was. I'm still thinking he was leaning towards Sylvie. Right. But he dangled that. There was no other reason to take it off the wrist. Whether they pass the threshold or not, I get it. But what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, also remember, I think it was directed to Sylvie because he kind of shot his shot with Loki. Yeah. When they were in before the elevator, where it was like, don't you want to kill Thanos and rule everything? Yep. You're just like, no, that's not me. And it was just like, well, I'm going to focus on her now.
That I think there's something to be said for probability. Like, yeah, he might not have known they crossed the threshold and he doesn't know what's going to happen, but he can kind of guess where this is going. Like, for example, it's Friday night. Am I going to have pizza for dinner? It's not totally written in stone, but there's a pretty damn good chance.
Good chance. Actually, I got something for you really quick, Joe. Two things. One, if you listen to the scene after Sylvie cuts off the timekeeper's head, if you listen closely,
I heard. I'll see you soon. I'll see you soon.
And then we just found out from Kate Herron, Jonathan Majors voiced all of the timekeepers.
Yeah. Oh, shit. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Wait, even
yes. So she's saying here we sent him the art of all the characters, and it was really fun.
Got it.
Because he was sending us all kinds of these different voices he could do for each character, which was great. So essentially, he was saying, "I'll see you soon," because I know he knew they would find their way to him. And then the very last thing he said, as he who remains, is, "I'll be seeing you soon."
He also told them that he paved the road for them. He literally said, "Look, I knew you were going to be here."
Yeah, it was a full Wizard of Oz.
Yeah,
it was full on Wizard of Oz.
Oh man, no, he did a really good. And to go back to what you guys said, I can't debate that. Even the short amount of time we had him on screen, I was surprised. I honestly thought if we were going to get him or a version of Kang or whatever, I was hoping he was going to point towards Kang. I was expecting a Loki, but only because I was trying to not disappoint myself too much. But Kang made the most sense, or He Who Remains, or Immortus. I still think it's Immortus. I think they just basically fused the two together, because He Who Remains is a completely different character.
Who was in like 5 whole issues of the comic. So,
and also too, there was a rumor, not a rumor. I don't know if it was ever said this, but somebody said that there was a rumor for a while about who He Who Remains was. And I had saw on online something about an older Mobius possibly being He Who Remains. Did you guys ever hear that?
No, I didn't see that. That's interesting, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I also got something else that I found out too. I wanted to talk to you about, Juwan, about the fourth timekeeper. I found more into that, but I can't deny the fact that Jonathan Majors played such a great role in what he had. I like what he did with the character. It was goofy. It was a little, at one point I was like, I didn't expect to see this type of version, but I was all for it, and he did command just the scene. Everything was about him, and I loved it. But I also said too, looks aside, he looks nothing like him. It has nothing to do with looks. Maybe it was because of the purple, but and I'm an older, I'm even older than you, Pete. But I remember a show called Zoobilee Zoo with Ben Vereen.
Yes.
Dude, all I can think of was Ben Vereen, only because of the way he carried himself and the way he acted, because he acted very lighthearted, but also kind of like funny and jokey. I thought of Ben Vereen from Zoobilee Zoo the whole way. Or even not even Zoobilee Zoo. I was just using him as a reference of what type of character I'm talking about, but just Ben Vereen himself, who's an older actor. That's what I got from the way Jonathan Majors portrayed Immortus / He Who Remains. Do you know what I'm talking about, Juwan? Do you know who Ben Vereen is?
I've heard it before, but my memory is
that's okay. Well, look it up. Let me know what you think. Not necessarily Zoobilee Zoo Ben Vereen, but I just use that as anybody watching, or Pete, if you knew Zoobilee Zoo.
I remember the show, but I vaguely remember like the host or the main characters. Honestly, when you said Ben Vereen, the first thing that popped into my mind was friggin' Animaniacs. Charlie Sheen, Ben Vereen, shrink to the size of a lima bean.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was genius what they did, because at the end of the day, it kind of was just like they wanted to show how drastically different he will be. And again, He Who Remains, anyone that knows him from the comics, it's this wrinkly old nutsack looking being. And it's like you needed to add some kind of sauce to that, know? And I love what Majors did.
I love this version, and I agree with you. It's gonna be really cool now to see him playing different versions of that character, versions that And the other line too got me, where he's like, "There's infinite amount of me." He didn't even say not just a few variants. He's like, "There's an infinite amount of me that's coming."
Well, yeah, I can't remember if this was said in DC or if this was said in Marvel, but the multiverse is vast.
Yeah.
So it's large and forever growing. That's why I said it's
what she said.
Such a dangerous. Yes, exactly. It's such a dangerous thing to get involved with, because it's just too many possibilities. Just too many.
So what I looked up, what I found out, because I wanted to know what that fourth statue, what that meant about what, being broken on the ground, what that could possibly be. I've heard people say it was Kang, or a version of Kang, that he didn't like himself, like Immortus being future Kang. Didn't like it, so he destroyed it. But apparently, somebody else on YouTube said that they thought it was a homage to the fourth secret timekeeper from the comics, and that timekeeper's name was the Oracle of Siwa.
Yeah,
and he was exiled to Egypt, right, by the other timekeepers, and he actually had a couple of battles with the Fantastic Four. And somebody else called, I thought it was Ramses, it's Ramades or something like that.
Ramadi.
Ramadi. I'm sorry. So that's what that, and again, that wasn't confirmed, but somebody online, which would make sense. That's what that statue was, just to show that type of whatever.
Yeah, that's a safer bet than it being Kang. I don't know why people were so gung ho on Kang being one of the time.
It was just the way
he had just told everybody that he's not a time.
Yeah, he's not.
He's not one of the Time Lords. So it's like,
I think her Nexus event is she's not a classic Loki. She doesn't feel sorry for herself. She doesn't want to rule nothing. She's a threat to him. She's the smartest of all Lokis, but in the end, that got her. I mean, that could be it.
I mean, I don't know, because again, she was only created based off of the TVA. So it's just one of those things where it's like her destiny was always to kill He Who Remains. So that is her nexus. That's her nexus. I mean, because remember, what did Mobius tell Loki? His, the ideology of Loki is he always brings death, right? Like he's always meant to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
So he broke that by not being the bad guy. Sylvie's destiny was always to kill He Who Remains, and she ultimately lived up to her life's purpose.
She did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing too, let me ask you that one thing that she says. I didn't expect it, but I don't think it means anything. But the fact that she was pruned even before he existed, that she came first, was that expected of you guys? Did you expect her to be the? I thought not that they were around at the same time or the same age, but I just assumed I don't know why. I guess it's because the Loki that we know is the Loki from the MCU that we've come to, from the first Thor. I thought he's the one that came first, and the variants came from that. But then again, that wouldn't make sense to classic Loki because classic Loki's older than him. So,
well, also there's a mainstream. So the mainstream is Hiddleston's Loki.
Yeah,
and they're just branches off of his tree.
Mm-hmm.
So he always is the constant. He did come first, but once she was taken by the TVA, she exists outside of time. So that's why it might just be kind of like she kind of mentally might have aged quicker or whatnot. But Loki is the constant, and they're just branches off of his tree. So I think he always, because without him, I don't think any of those other variants could exist.
That's what I assumed. That's why that one line kind of confused me a little bit. But that's what I assumed. I thought he was the Loki.
I was pretty confused by that too, honestly. But I kind of akined it to, and going back to not being an electrician, but like when you're wrapping a wire around like a whole bunch of other wires and you've got all of these splintering wires. Yeah. So like if you get to the point where all the Lokis are being born, let's say when they're kids, her, him, whatever, and you've got these wires going all over the place, like, oh, clip, don't need that one. And then you go on twisting the rest of the wires. Eventually you're going to get to where our Loki that we know has been born and is being twisted into that one big twist is the sacred timeline that, Immortus is kind of fiddling with and they're trying to protect. I don't know. That was just kind of how I reasoned it out in my head. Like, why would she be older or have like, I don't think she was the first because obviously, like you said, classic Loki was older than all of them. So
yeah,
who the hell knows? Time travel.
She now that she basically fulfilled her purpose, do we think we're done with that character?
I hope not. I like her.
I don't know. To me, I'm only okay with seeing her again if she comes back under the name Enchantress. No more Sylvie. No more Loki variant.
That'd be a good way to bring it back. Somebody had mentioned that it's possible that when she killed him, that reset everything around him. We don't see it. We see her, basically he's dying or dead, and then she's kind of crying and she goes to the ground. Would she reset anything or she disappear after that? Or no. You don't think so?
No, because I mean, if that were the case, Loki would have reset also.
Loki was sent to
2012.
Oh, okay.
I think they're just outside.
Yeah, it would have reset. It would have reset everything.
Okay.
So I think she either just disappeared to wherever he is, or she's still there. She's stuck in that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think she's outside the time stream at this point, so she's like kind of just sitting there dwelling like on did I just screw this up? What did I do? I think at this point, I think the biggest debate is, did everything reset, or is Loki at like a whole other ass TVA? Are there multiple TVAs, or did it reset and now Kang, the evil Kang, is in charge of the TVA and always has been?
So I took it as that, and the only reason why, because it also lines up with the other thing that I told you guys I found with the I think it was on your stream, Joanne, with the hand at the end. At the end credits, we see a hand. That's basically now confirming that he's at the TVA overseeing everything. There was nobody there. There was never a hand there. There was nobody ever there hands-on because he was doing everything from wherever he was. Mm-hmm. So now that things were changed and that version of him was killed, we go to a part in time now where Loki is, where Kang has been there now. That's why, B-15 says that line, 63 branches. What does he want us to do? Just let them branch? They never mentioned anybody by name. They just said the timekeepers. Well, they didn't say name, they just said he, but they wouldn't have said that 10 minutes prior.
They would have said they, if anything.
Yeah, they or exactly.
Right. Yeah. It just replaced it. And not even necessarily replaced it. They just kind of like dubbed over it. I
think that's overall less confusing too.
Right. And because Loki's a Nexus level being, he can travel through multiverses, which is why he maintained his memory. It didn't reset for him because he's powerful enough to travel through.
Yeah.
So to him, he's lived everything. To them, they have no idea. Remember, here's the other reason how you know it was reset. Remember when Renslayer told Mobius that he's always leaving rings in her office?
Yeah.
And he couldn't remember it?
Yeah.
It's been reset before.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in that office. He's probably had that same conversation and left the ring. And she was just like, look at you leaving rings again. And he's like, this is my first time. I didn't leave a ring.
Oh, shit. I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah. I think that was a subtle note of it just kind of was dubbed over. So the memories for some remain. And for others, it just resets it to where whatever's the constant now, it's all you've ever known.
Huh.
I went back to my last stream because I wanted to rewatch it. It was a double. I did back-to-back episodes because I missed one episode. But I remember telling my co-host, because they put it out there, the whole how Loki's basically stab each other in the back. I had asked her, and I said, do you think that's setting up the fact that one of them is going to betray one of them? I was like, I feel like they said that for a reason. They're just going to put that line in there for whatever. So that turn by Sylvie didn't surprise me. You know, I didn't know who it was going to be definitively, but the turn was, for me, expected. I mean, we knew something had to happen. We knew he was probably going to get killed only because we knew something was going to. I was expecting that to be the time and the way that the timeline was fractured and broken. So I just didn't know from who it was going to be, and I was hoping it wasn't going to be Loki, because I was like, all right, so all the things that you've gone through and everything that brought you to this point, and then you're just going to, regress and do whatever. It just didn't make any sense and I even said to my co-host, it makes more sense with Sylvie because she's not up to that point. She was on her own for almost her whole life. So not only does she not know what it means to have anybody feel the way Loki did for her, she doesn't know what to do with it, and she just can't trust anybody. So in the end, that not being able to trust anybody is what drove her to do what she did.
And she fulfilled Loki's metaphor. Love is like a knife.
Yeah.
And at the end, it just disappears, and that's what Sylvie did. She just disappeared.
Is that confirmed? We're going to see her character in What If? Sylvie?
I have not heard of any.
I mean, that's a cool. Yeah, that could be cool. I will say this though, really quick, and then we're gonna end the stream. But when it comes to What If, and I think I commented on your stream last night about this, Pete. I personally had no interest in watching it. I'm not really a fan of. I don't know what it is. I just can't get into animation. It looks amazing though. I will say the way they animated it, the way they're doing it, it looks really good. But the fact that they're not keeping it as a standalone, like it is in the comics, just a what if, a one and done thing, and they are going to tie it in now where it could be canon, it's a smart way to go because it's going to get people like me now to be like, well, fuck, now I got to watch it. Now I want to watch it. Very smart. That's a very smart way to do it because I have a few issues of What If. And I was just like, all right, well, I mean, it's just that's like I remember it being like not a goofy comic, but it was just, it was like all these takes of what if this happened, what if that happened this way. But
it was like a Twilight Zone kind of thing because they were never happy endings ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
What If was honestly one of my favorites because I do like the Twilight Zone, and I was kind of brought up into the comics world on like the Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror, EC stuff. So I'm very familiar with that type of storytelling where it's just like a one-off comic, bad shit happens, we move on to the next bad possible thing that could have happened to our favorite superheroes. So I was down for watching this already, and I'm still like kind of 11 years old in my head, so I'm a sucker for animation. I will watch almost anything. It's a little Spider-Verse-y. Honestly, like it has that very smooth
Spider-Verse was a great
feel.
I'll take that back. I mean, for what that was, I love that movie. Like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I love that movie.
I just mean like the animation style is very Spider-Verse-y. Like the way the characters are drawn and computer colored, and being a graphic artist, I can recognize that. Spider-Verse gave me a little bit of a headache. I will not lie. When there
were scenes with the lights,
they would flash the texture on the screen. I'm like. I'm having a little bit of a stroke here. Like,
No,
I got used to it. I got, but it took a minute.
But story wise, I love Spider-Verse. Oh man, it was such a great. I was not expecting. What happened?
It's canon now.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, so are we gonna get Spider-Ham?
I want Miles. I really do.
No, I think we're definitely gonna get Miles. I do. I really hope. I think Jawan, I think you're the one that said you want this. I think I might be wrong. Was it you that said they want to see an animated character in No Way Home?
Oh, no. I was saying that if Sony is smart, they would let Marvel keep Peter.
Yeah.
And they would just go make $200 billion by using a live action Miles.
Oh, okay, no. I thought somebody said, I thought it was on your stream that somebody said that they want an animated character, whether it's Spider-Ham or something like that, show up in No Way Home as an animated character. And I was like, I don't want that. I don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, it could play as tongue in cheek. Like Tom Holland Spider-Man pops in there and he's like, "Whoa, I'm animated," and like he does the whole finger pointing.
That would be cool. Yeah,
I need that. If those guys are in it, I need that to happen. But like, even for they did it in one of the comics during the whole Spider-Verse storyline that happened. I don't know, maybe it was like a year or two ago. And at one point, they popped into the animated Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends universe, where it was drawn panel for panel, just like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And I was like, okay, for nostalgia's sake, for like 1 page, 2 pages, this is dope. I love every moment of this.
Yeah.
So if he is popping into different universes, I would totally accept like a 25-second cameo of I'm a fucking cartoon, and then out.
I mean, to me, this is the best thing because, Miles in the comics came as Peter was, they were pushing Peter out to bring in Miles.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Holland is in his 20s, so you're not looking to push him out anytime soon.
Right.
No.
So to me, the best thing to do would be to say, this Spider-Man is over there. This Spider-Man is more big picture, Avengers.
And build both of those movies and then bring them together for a fucking Spider War.
You could even have Miles toy around with the Young Avengers a little bit.
Yes,
play around in that toy box a little bit, because Spider-Man's an Avenger, not a young Avenger. And also people need to understand this. Young does not mean child. So all the children you keep seeing will be aged up by the time they create the group, the Young Avengers.
Right.
I know a lot of people just were like, oh, we're going to see Kid Loki again in Young Avengers. Probably not. It'll probably be teen Loki. Mm-hmm. Not that child. Because again, Riri is a teenager. She's not like 10 years old. Right. Ant-Man's daughter is, I think she's way older than what they're trying to make her look. But like, and then Wanda's kids, they'll age them up by the time they get around to young, mm-hmm. which I also think Kang should be the villain for.
I will say though, going back to the whole pointing thing, Pete, if they honestly execute and they finally get, and they actually do include Toby and Andrew in No Way Home, there would be a missed opportunity if the three of them don't just stand there and point each other like the meme.
Yeah, they have to do
Spider-Man memes. That's what I want. That
I don't even need them two guys to star in the movie alongside
No, they don't, I don't want them
Holland.
to. Yeah,
20 minutes. I don't care.
Yeah, that's all I need. I wouldn't expect them to have a big part, even if they do show up.
Right.
I wouldn't expect that.
And to capitalize on Jawan's point, like if you have Sony doing Miles and you can have him interact with friggin' Craven and Mobius and whatever other nonsense characters they want to do, form the Sinister Six under Norman Osborn and then bring Tom Holland and Miles Morales together for a team-up movie. That shit would be dope.
In the comics,
billions.
How much of a time, an age gap is Miles and Peter?
Pretty big one.
Yeah,
not a big one like he's 30 and he's 10.
Right. No.
Like Peter's towards his 30s, maybe mid.
That's what
early 30s, and Miles is like 16,
that's what I thought.
17.
Mm-hmm.
So they're probably going to change that. They're probably not going to wait until that. I mean, because I'm hoping that, because then two things would have to happen. They would have to, if they were going to wait for Peter to be an older character in order to bring Miles into the suit, then you either have to recast Tom Holland.
No, to me, they can be the same age.
No, that's what,
yeah, because you're showcasing that this, and also remember, Miles does already exist.
He does. Yeah.
So to me, they can be around the same age. Like I'd be fine if Peter's a senior and Miles is
freshman. Yeah.
Yeah, or just starting high school.
That would make sense. When also too, if he wasn't blipped, if Miles wasn't blipped, Peter was. Peter lost 5 years of his life. So Peter is 5 years older than, well, no. No, Miles is 5 years older than he is now.
Right.
So he could have caught up. You're right. I just realized that now. He could have caught up or gotten closer.
Think it's best if you say they just both got blipped.
Probably, yeah.
Do you think that's what happened?
Way less confusing.
Yeah, just say they both got blipped. Because you telling me Miles is older than Spider-Man, older than
No,
Peter.
no. So let's say okay, so in the comics, let's say Peter's 33, right? And Miles, when is Miles, how old is he? 15 when he gets
about
bit?
16, yeah.
Yeah, about 16, yeah.
When he first got bit in the comics, he was mad young. He was
right.
Probably about 10, give or take.
When does he take the suit?
And then they aged him up for the later comics.
Okay, so let's just say 16. Your original answer. So that's a 16-year gap. Instead of now 16 years, they can shrink it down to 10 if he wasn't blipped and Peter was. That's all I meant.
That. Yeah.
Now you can have a Miles Morales and a Tom Holland Spider-Man in the same universe because despite the age difference.
I'm good with it.
I mean, it's the same way I feel about if the Matt Reeves' Batman introduces like Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Obviously Matt Reeves' Batman is in his 30s, right?
Yeah.
I'm cool if Dick Grayson is like 18 to like 23, 24 years old. I've never needed to see a child next to Batman in live action. I just didn't want what we got, which was Chris O'Donnell being 42. Moving in with another 42-year-old.
Well, that's why Batman Robin was never introduced into the Tim Burton film. Well, back then, because didn't they feel that having a child basically shadowing Batman just wasn't going to translate right? I mean, we got it in the Batman series with Adam West and what do you call it, Burt Ward. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I'm sure Burt Ward wasn't a child, but
definitely not.
I was gonna say definitely not.
No, definitely not. But what I'm saying is, like, on the big screen, I guess they were afraid that it wasn't going to translate right with just a child, being with Batman.
Even reading it is just uncomfortable. It's the weirdest thing. He's 9 and Batman's just like, hey, would you like to beat up grown men with me? And it's just like, what?
In your underwear.
In your underwear. And it's just like, yeah, I don't need that. So if Nightwing is like 18 years old, and he calls him Robin, only for them to kind of, age him through it, like they did in Titans, where they're kind of just like, he doesn't want to continue to be Robin. He's just too old. I'm fine with that. And then if you want to bring on a 15-year-old Jason Todd, I'm cool with that. But to me, no. So Miles can be a freshman and Peter's a senior. That's the only age gap I need. I don't need it to be bigger, any lower. Just that's right amount. Because we know Peter's on his way out of high school anyway. So.
Yeah, right. Pretty much.
I'm fine with that.
All right, guys. So I'm going to pretty much end the stream now. So me and Jordan, Pete, you're more than welcome to come. I think you probably have to head out. Okay.
Food time now, man. I'm a little hungry.
That's fine.
Thank you for the invite and thanks for having me, man. Let me know next time. I'm down. I loved it.
All right. So guys, I'm going to let you guys tell everybody. I'm going to put a link to both of your YouTube channels on here once I'm done. Once we're done with this stream. Sure. So I'm going to put their guys' link there. So you guys please follow them. But I'm going to let them tell you where they're at and where you can find them. But straight after this, me and Joanna are going to head in. We're not going to do it because it's just going to be you and I, Joanna, so it probably won't last that long. Mm-hmm. We're going to be doing a Black Widow spoiler review. So if you're watching this live, look out for that. If you're watching it here, after the fact, it's up already on my channel. So, Joanna, let everybody know where they can find you.
Geek Vibes Nation. Geek Vibes Nation everywhere. Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, our website, geekvibesnation.com. That's where you guys can find literally everything. And Tia has a really, really, really big interview coming up. So stay tuned for that. So now that the MCR is going to be on a little slight hiatus until, what is it? I think August 11th is when What If comes out. Mm-hmm. And you don't even know if you're going to be doing that, right? No, we actually just all agreed that we're we're gonna do it.
Okay. All right. So so you're gonna be doing that. What's your next your next stream? Anything coming up?
Yes, I'm shooting one tonight. GVN Talk. We're gonna go over a lot of news topics. A lot of news broke. We got a Chucky trailer for the TV series.
The TV series. That's on what is it, FX?
No, USA.
USA. Okay.
USA or Sci-Fi. One of
one of those. I think it's Sci-Fi.
Yeah. And he looks amazing. So that's good because the movie Chucky looked god awful. So.
Yeah, I wasn't yeah. And the original guy, was it Don Mancini, or is that what his name is? Something Mancini? The creator of Chucky, I think he's back with the show.
Oh, that's good. That's
good.
I'm
pretty sure that's what I read. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. So all right. So yeah, and like I said, I'm gonna put your links in there anyway, but I just want you guys to, basically tell where you can be found. And Pete, where can we find you?
Pete's Basement. We are pretty much Pete's Basement everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. If you want to hit us up, it's questions@petesbasement.com. I've got a whole bunch of unboxings that I still have yet to get around to. I've currently got an interview with Tim Laddie, who is the artist on IDW's Ghostbusters and Ninja Turtles for a while, among other things that he's done. And he's got a creator-owned project that he's got an Indiegogo up for. So that interview is currently on the editing room floor. So good things coming. And we just did the show yesterday, and hopefully we've got some more streams forthcoming. We will be doing a Black Widow review at some point. So I will let you guys know when we're going to do that. And I'd love for you to jump on as well.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, guys, go check that out. He just did his Loki finale spoiler discussion yesterday. I was part of the live chat, so go check that out. That's up, and then the Black Widow, you said, to be up soon. Pete, I want to say really quick about your logo. Being from Greenpoint, dude. Every time I see it, like I just seeing the tanks on there, man. It just being, like I said, being from Greenpoint and knowing what that actually means. Not many people know about that anymore.
That's true.
Just you're keeping it alive, man, and I love it. I love it.
I got to credit to my boy Roger, who was the brains behind this show for the longest. He's the one who had the idea for it, and he created the logo originally with the tanks and the bridge and everything. So it was just, that's all him, man. That man is one of the greatest artists I've ever had the privilege of knowing. And at this point, like, I just took his original design and I, started playing around with it for these shirts, for the newer kind of logo that I've been running around with. Yeah. And these shirts are over on our Represent store, which you can find that's linked on our Instagram and everywhere else pretty much. But yeah, man, it's all Roger. I wish I could take credit for that.
No, just let you know. Like I said, being from Greenpoint, that just it hits home. So, all right, guys. Thank you again. Really, I really appreciate you guys being on. You really have no idea what it means. And I really want to do this soon. I mean, Jawan, we're going to be doing literally one right now, but I'm just saying in general, guys, I definitely would like to have you guys on, for future projects.
Absolutely.
So guys, have a good night. I appreciate you coming on, and everybody else in the live chat. Thank you again for your questions and your comments. It makes the stream, much more fun and whatever. And we do have one last comment from Geeky Boy Big D. So I'll just leave it there.
Yep.
All right, guys, have a good night. Pete, as you would normally say, salute.
Salute, brother.
All right. Jawan, see you in a couple of minutes. All right.
Okay.
All right, guys. Have a good night.